Hi, and welcome to our video on the history and abuse of power in government. Throughout history, power and government have been closely intertwined, with rulers and governments using their influence to further their own interests and agendas. In many cases, this has resulted in the abuse of power and the exploitation of those who are subject to government authority. One of the earliest examples of government power can be found in ancient civilizations such as Sumer and Egypt, where rulers were seen as divinely ordained and wielded tremendous authority over their subjects. In other societies, such as those in ancient Greece and Rome, governments were more democratic in nature, with citizens participating in the decision-making process. However, even in these societies, power was often concentrated in the hands of a small group of elites, leading to conflicts and abuses of power. As societies have evolved over time, so too have the forms of government and the ways in which power is exercised. Today, governments around the world take many different forms, from autocratic regimes to democratic systems. However, regardless of the form of government, there is always the potential for power to be abused. One example of the abuse of power can be seen in authoritarian regimes, where dissent is often met with violence and repression. Governments may use military or police forces to maintain order and enforce laws, and may also use propaganda, censorship, and control over information to manipulate public opinion and shape public discourse. In recent years, we have seen examples of this type of abuse in countries like North Korea, where the government suppresses dissent and controls all information available to its citizens. Another example of the abuse of power can be seen in the use of democide, or the intentional killing of a large number of people by their own government. This can take many forms, from genocides and ethnic cleansings to mass deportations and forced labor camps. One current example of democide is the treatment of the Uyghur population in China, where the Chinese government has been accused of imprisoning and mistreating large numbers of Uyghurs in forced labor camps. In the past, other examples of democide include the Armenian genocide during World War I and the Holocaust during World War II. In addition to the abuse of power within a government's own borders, governments also wield influence on the global stage. Through diplomacy and international relations, governments can shape global policies and have a significant impact on the world at large. This power can also be abused, as seen in the colonization and exploitation of other countries by powerful nations. For example, European powers during the Age of Exploration and later during the period of imperialism exploited and colonized many countries in Africa and Asia, using their power and resources to extract wealth and resources from these regions. Power can also be stolen, either through the use of force or through more subtle means, such as corruption and manipulation. For example, coups and revolutions have been used throughout history to overthrow existing governments and seize power. Similarly, corrupt officials may use their positions of power to enrich themselves at the expense of their constituents. In recent years, we have seen examples of this type of abuse in countries like Venezuela and Ukraine, where corrupt officials have been accused of enriching themselves through illicit means. In conclusion, power and government have a long and complex history, and the abuse of power is a pervasive issue that has affected societies around the world. It is important to be aware of the ways in which power can be abused and to hold those in positions of authority accountable for their actions. By understanding the history of power and government, we can work towards creating more just and equitable societies. Thanks for watching our video on the history and abuse of power in government. If you have any questions or want to learn more, please comment below. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe.